Welcome to another week, another show of Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Pleased to have you tuning in for another week. We all back. The gang is back together. Craig and Stacy Schroeder with Fight with Flash, but also we're going to have Payton Sandfort joining us here in just a little bit. Current Iowa Hawkeye basketball player, and then Sam Elgin, basketball trainer with Formula Basketball, going to join us. And then we'll close out the show with David Eickholt, our Hawkeye insider. But Craig, Stacy, it's been a while. Viewers, I know a lot of you ask me where these two are out speaking for Fight with Flash, and eventually we're going to get that put online and put some of their speeches online for them with fightwithflash.org or via Facebook, Fight with Flash, or facebook.com, Fight with Flash. But we're going to put all that out there at some point, and you got more speeches upcoming. But Stacy, let's get to the Fight with Flash Awards first, and then Craig, you're going to talk about the Crosstown Baseball Classic, which is approaching ever quickly here. So first of all, welcome back. Good to see you again, Stacy.
Thank you.
Fire away with the Fight with Flash Awards, please.
Well, every year, so when Austin was in 8th grade, that's when he was diagnosed with cancer. And so the junior high has chosen to do a scholarship in his honor at the school. So at the end of the year, we get to meet with the principal and the staff, and they share with us who they've chosen to get the Flash Award. People who
Very cool.
Just kind of emulate what Austin.
The spirit, yeah.
Yes, how Austin was as a student, as an athlete, and all the goodness that he had. So anyway, this Friday we get to go do that. Tomorrow we get to do that. It's the last day of school. So,
there you go. So we record this on Tuesday, so Wednesday, June 1st. Craig, about 30 seconds. Let's give us the Crosstown Classic details, please.
Yes, that's coming up here on the 10th and 11th, and it's Friday. It's a youth baseball camp. And then we'll get to do stations and a little time to speak with the kids about Win the Day and about Fight with Flash. And then on Saturday, it's high school games and youth tournament side by side, and it's a day of celebration and a day of community.
Mm-hmm.
Their work never ends, celebrating in community and Flash the spirit. So thank you both again. Great to see you. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Truly my pleasure. For Fight with Flash Foundation and Craig and Stacy Schroeder, I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. Back with more and Payton Sandfort in just a few moments. Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. You can see on the screen our buddy Payton Sandfort. Payton's all his contact information at the bottom of the screen. What a freshman year Payton had for the University of Iowa Hawkeyes this year. But hey, what a high school career he had at Hawkeye. State championship. His brother Price is across the road at Hawkeye Northwest, making a big name for himself. But long overdue. You and I were talking off the air, Payton. Great to have you on board. Thanks for joining us this week. And how's everything going with you?
Going well, Dave. Really excited to have this opportunity to talk with you, and can't thank you enough.
Oh, it's truly my pleasure, and thank you. So let's get into it right away. We record this on Tuesday afternoon. Full disclosure, viewers, so you know it's May 31st. Rumor has it Chris Murray's going to make his decision. So by the time this airs, Payton, no one's going to care what we think anyway. But if I'm going to hold your feet to the fire, when Chris makes this decision, supposedly on Wednesday afternoon, again, it'll air over the weekend online and on television. What are your thoughts, and what do you know goes through this process? I'm sure you've kept up with Chris a little bit. What's he going through right now, Payton?
Yeah, I know he's going through a lot. He's been working out. He was working out with us for a couple weeks in the spring, and then he left for Chicago with Keegan. But obviously there's a lot going on for him, weighing a lot of different things, and I'm really excited for him. No matter what he chooses, I'll support him. Obviously, it'd be pretty cool to get him back. He's a great basketball player, but he's also a really good dude. One of my best friends to hang out with. So fully support him either way, but I guess we'll see what he ends up deciding.
Well, I won't get you in trouble, and I'm not going to get too much into your brother's story either. Price hasn't made his decision yet, but I'll let the viewers know there's a Google Price Sandfort, but there's a lot of schools interested in state specifically with Drake and Iowa, and so I'm going to stop there because I don't want to get you in trouble. But let's get into your family history, and same with the Iowa assistant coaching hires. A lot of names being thrown out there with Dean Oliver or Matt Gatens or Jeff Horner, so Iowa's going to be making an assistant coach choice here pretty soon. Congratulations and moving on for Billy Taylor at Elon, and of course Coach Eldridge has been elevated, so you're happy with all that. So we'll know when another coach, because Kirk Sparrow stepped on and retired. So there's a lot of transition going on in the program, but what a freshman year you had. And so let's get into that a little bit about your background. I know your family's basketball history is wonderful with your grandpa. Both your parents played collegiately. I'm going to step aside and let you fill in the blanks for us, please, Payton.
Yeah, so my grandpa actually grew up in Hawkeye. So he went to Hawkeye, I think, till his sophomore, junior year. And every day that I would go to high school or growing up going to the basketball games, we'd see his records on the board. He had 46 points in one game, 31 rebounds, and he swears he'd have the season record if he could find all the newspapers. So that was, we were always chasing that. And then I guess we could never, me and Price couldn't get his records at Hawkeyed because we were on such a loaded team. And I mean, we'd play like maybe 20 minutes a game before they pulled us. But so he's still got him. He holds that over us. But he grew up in Hawkeye, ended up playing at Simpson College. Really good player. He's about 6'7", so that's where our height comes from. And then my dad is from Holdridge, Nebraska, which you probably haven't heard of it. It's out in the middle, right in the middle of Nebraska.
I'm going to have to take your word for it.
Okay, it's a pretty boring drive once you get out of Lincoln going to Holdridge, but he won a high school state championship, so we've seen that game played on our TV millions of times, but we've heard all about it. And then he ended up playing at Nebraska Kearney and then transferred to Hastings College. Really good player, like captain of the all-tournament team at state, stuff like that. And then my mom played 6-on-6 for North Polk while that was still a thing. So
the real basketball and girls basketball, by the way.
Never played defense. She just shot all game. And it's kind of the dream job. But, so she grew up playing. She also went to Simpson College, started at Drake, and then transferred to Simpson. So basketball runs in the family for sure.
That is great stuff, and what motivation with Grandpa's records hanging out there. So, you mentioned your high school team, and I was going to get to that. Tucker DeVries playing for his dad at Drake, and again, still good friends with your brother Price, and you had a great freshman year at Iowa. Talk about that transition. I mean, Tucker was the Player of the Year, Gatorade Iowa, Mr. Basketball. He had accolades. You had accolades. I was making a joke with our mutual friend Sean Bach from 24/7 Sports, and Sean's on this show quite regularly, and it's hilarious when we were talking about, hey, if you were like the sixth man at Waukee back in the day when you guys won the state title, you'd be getting a D1 scholarship somewhere as you're smiling, right?
Yeah, we had good players all over. I mean, we had guys on our scout team that really never saw the floor that we think would have started at like pretty much every other school in the state. Got to give a shout out to those guys. But my senior year of high school was pretty weird. We had Omaha Ballou too, who's top 10 player in the country.
Oh yeah, there's that too. That's right. Yeah,
pretty loaded. But with COVID, we got off to a really slow start. We played one game before Christmas, and things were pretty murky. But the good thing that came out of that was that we would have these 5-on-5 scrimmages for practice, and they were insanely intense. It felt like a college game, kind of like. Guys talking trash. There were some hard fouls. They were really competitive. So I think that was really good for all of us. It just kind of helped grow all of our games. Me and Tucker battling, Price in Omaha, everybody else. And it was a ton of fun, kind of set the stage for what we were going to see throughout our career, seeing that high level talent. And I wouldn't say it made the transition easy, but it made it a lot easier going against all that high level talent all the time.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you right now, we got a couple minutes left with you, but we're going to have you back whenever it works in your schedule because you have a great story. So, and I hate to say, hey, here's your freshman year, sum it up in 2 minutes. But Payton, here's your freshman year, sum it up in a few minutes, because you had, I thought, an interesting start to your freshman year this year at Iowa. You came in as the sharpshooter and you kind of eased into it. But man, Payton, once you got rolling, especially down the stretch, I don't know who was hotter, who was blowing on each other's hands to cool them down faster, you or Connor McCaffrey down the stretch. So that had to be something else. So take us through your experience and matriculation through your freshman year from beginning to end, if you would, please, Payton.
Yeah, it started coming in the summer. It's just a different game. There's a different speed. So the coaches, they kind of use the summer workouts. We get 8 weeks, and they just kind of use that to integrate you to the speed, to the system, stuff like that. So that was all good. I felt like a little unsure of myself at first, but then when we came back in the fall for practices starting to ramp up 5-6 times a week, I feel like I really started to find my footing. I was playing really well in practice and kind of earned some early season minutes. And then once you start those games, it's kind of a whole nother jump. So at first, I think the exhibition, I was pretty nervous, threw up an air ball to start. Didn't play well in the first half, but then kind of found my footing. I think ended up scoring 4 or 5 baskets in the second half. And then in those early games, I like throughout them, I felt like I kept getting better. Ended up, I think, hitting 5 threes in back-to-back games. So that was a lot of fun. Hit 5 on my mom's birthday. So gotta
Hey,
celebrate that. And then once the high major game started, the big time environments, it was another jump. So obviously, like, coach can't just throw around minutes to get me acclimated because those are pretty big games for the resume. So I had to learn how to get myself better in practice and then just use what time that I was in the game that I could to adjust myself to that speed, which ended up being really good for me. I thought it developed like a lot of mental toughness. I had to work through a lot, and it really benefited me down the line, especially like the Big Ten tournament. And then I think, I don't know, it'd been a long time since I scored once we got into like mid-January.
mm-hmm.
And I hit a couple, or what happened? No, I moved over to scout team. That's what happened. I talked to coaches about it just to kind of try and get some confidence back because I was kind of down in the dumps. And I really wanted to jumpstart myself. So I went over there, got to go against Keegan, Chris every day, and started hitting some shots. And then we went out in games, and I kind of caught fire for the last couple months of the year.
Wow, are you humble? Kind of caught fire. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, it was a really fun stretch. And
I bet.
like coming into college, I always heard people talking about the ups and downs of the freshman year, and you really don't understand what that's like until you're in it. Like every other game, you're getting 20 minutes or you're getting 3 minutes, and I just had to learn how to be the best teammate that I could and get myself better for next year in the best way that I could, and just always stay mentally locked in because there may be a time when I was needed. So I really was proud of myself for handling that situation pretty well. And then obviously at the end of the year, we finished on quite a high. I think I went like 6 or 7 of 10 in the Big Ten tournament. Had some big buckets against Purdue, and had a ton of fun doing it.
You know, and we had a ton of fun watching you. It was so great to see how you developed, as you mentioned. And as you said, it's a culture shock from high school to college. Speed of the game, you always hear that from players. And as you mentioned, the level of intensity, and you matched that. But what a classroom you had, besides the legendary Fran McCaffrey, what great 12-year run he's had here at Iowa. But then you talk about the Murray twins, you know, coming in before that when you were around campus and visiting. Luka Garza was here. So you really had some, as you're nodding with me here, you had some really good examples to say, okay, here's what I'm going to measure myself. And you know the old expression, Payton, the standard is the standard. And I just look forward to all of us Hawkeye fans, due to you being a leader next year and just as a young sophomore coming right into it. And I'm sure you've got big expectations in the next 30 seconds or so. I'm sure you've got big expectations for this summer and going into this next basketball season.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Been working on my athleticism and some of the weaknesses of my game, and I'm feeling really good about it going back into the summer. I talked to Keegan after the year, and he just kind of explained to me how the freshman year can be kind of tough, but the sophomore year is where you see the biggest jump. So I'm looking to do what I can and make that jump and win some game for the Hawks.
Okay, now you got us crazy excited. So you're going to go on record as saying you're going to have the same jump from freshman year to sophomore year that Keegan did, right?
That's the dream, but I don't know. That might be a little far-fetched. But
That's
hopefully
okay.
some sort of jump.
Yeah, I was going to say, set your standards high. Payton, again, I can't even begin to tell you what a thrill it is to have you on. You're very successful and going into your second year after a very successful freshman year at Iowa. Really appreciate you taking the time, and we're definitely going to work you back in and have you back on whenever it's in your schedule. When it works in, we'd love to have you back.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Dave.
My pleasure as always. And again, Payton Sandfort, sharpshooting freshman going into a sophomore year at Iowa. And you can see all of Payton's information on the bottom of the screen. For Payton Sandfort, I'm Dave O'Hara. We'll be back with more Hawkeye in just a few moments.
To make the Mershman Seeds delivery experience even better this year, Mershman Seeds is offering you a brand new Apple app called Mershman Delivers. It will give you the estimated time of delivery down to the second and updates you as our truck makes its way to your dealership. Mershman Delivers will provide you the answer to the number one question we get when it comes to delivery. When exactly will the Mershman truck be here? Available on the Apple App Store. Download Mershman Delivers today.
Joel from Tice Chevrolet. We've lived through some very interesting times the last few months. Ensuring everyone's safety is more important than ever. That is why we're participating in the Chevy Clean program. At your request, we will pick up your vehicle, service it, and return it after we've cleaned it using the current CDC guidelines. This is just another way to work towards exceeding your expectations. So give us a call and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Our buddy Sam Elgin is here. You see Sam's information at the bottom of the screen. Sam runs Formula basketball clinics out of the Cedar Rapids area. Sam, first of all, thanks for joining us in studio.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
You bet. You good to see you, and we have a lot of common friends, the Ashes being one, Carrie and Austin. But it's nice to see you in studio talking some basketball, and thanks for arranging the interview we just did with Payton Sandfort. But
absolutely.
You have a veritable who's who with Formula basketball. You knew all the guys before they were ... More than half the Iowa team. You were a great player at Upper Iowa University. You're a Center Point Urbana kid. Had a nice high school career there. So you're kind of East Central, Eastern Iowa. But you've really expanded your horizons. And so talk about what you get done at Formula basketball, but just some of your experiences with these Hawkeye players.
I'll just kind of run through it quick. So like you said, originally from Center Point, and then I graduated there in 2009. And then went on full scholarship to play Division II Upper Iowa. I was there from 09 to 13. And then when I got done playing there, I was kind of in this no man's land.
Rumor had it you could shoot a little bit at Upper Iowa.
A little bit, yeah. I was never afraid to shoot it. How about that?
I like that.
I didn't pass it much in 4 years, but yeah, so then I was kind of in this no man's land of what do I do next? Well, I'd already had a little bit of coaching experience under my belt because I would come back in the summers and I would coach AAU and those kind of things for a program called Iowa Magic. They're no longer around anymore, but in that AAU world, I had gotten in connect with Mike Manderscheid, who was the Marion varsity boys basketball coach at that time. He's now the AD there at Marion High School, and he had called me up in the summer after I had graduated and said, "Hey, we have a freshman boys basketball job opening up. Would you want to take it?" So I jumped on that over at Marion. I was there for 3 years, but in the process of that, I just needed more basketball in my life. So I started doing some one-on-one training stuff with the Marion kids that first summer after that first season of coaching there. And it kind of took off like wildfire with those kids. And I was like, if these guys want to do it, more people want to do it. And so I kind of started calling around and and then I was like, all right, this is going to do it. So I made a website, did all that fun stuff. And at that time, I was kind of operating out of Stony Point YMCA. I was doing some workouts out there. And of course, that's where I run into Carrie Ash and Austin Ash. So at that time, Austin was about a 7th grader. And I talked to Carrie. They were in the gym yelling at each other. Well, it was more Carrie yelling at Austin. But
that seems about right.
Yeah. And I said, hey, I just got done playing college basketball. I'm looking into doing this. I'm coaching at Marion right now. And Carrie's like, yes, take Austin. Do what you got to do. So for the next 4.5, 5 years with Austin, it was 5:30 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3-4 times a week. He would come to Stony Point. We'd do basketball workouts. We'd lift, train, those kind of things. And then it just spiraled from there. I started working with a ton of different clients. But Austin was really my main into essentially being associated with anything Iowa basketball related. I mean, obviously been a fan for years,
right.
But yeah.
Now, once Austin makes his decision where he's going to transfer this year, he's going to join me on the show again. He was with us last year, and of course, well known on this show. I grew up with Carrie, but he's older than me. Just never forget that. He's an old man. He's 1 year older than me. But played ball with him, and I've known Austin his whole life. But what I would like you to sum up in the last minute, and we're going to have you back more times throughout the year to go into your story and some of these athletes. What do you see the biggest jump is from the Murray twins? You obviously have coached the McCaffrey boys, Connor and Patrick, but also you've seen Jack play a bunch. Payton Sandfort, obviously, we just had on. What do you think the biggest jump is that takes them from where you're at, or what a kid needs to work on when you're coaching them that takes them to the University of Iowa level?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can really pinpoint one specific thing that's one specific area that kid needs to work on. I think really everything. Obviously, you can be the best ball handler or best shooter, but even on your best days, you can be better. So you got to continue. I mean, you could go into a pro workout right now with Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and the top guys in the world, and they're working on some of the skill stuff that I do with kids at the youngest ages. I mean, they're still going through that rep. So, I mean, I don't think there's one thing you can pinpoint. I think you got to kind of put your head and put your foot to the throttle on everything.
Let's put a pin in it right there because that's what I wanted to hone in. Perfect job, because it's not one thing. Don't just be a shooter. Don't be a ball handler. Defense is great. Rebounding is great. Sam does all these skills camps. So again, you see all of Sam's information at the bottom of the screen. Be sure to check him out. He has a lot of the Hawkeyes join him in camps and training and counseling other kids upcoming, boys and girls basketball, all ages, variety up through high school. So Sam, great stuff out of you.
Thank you, Dave.
You're very welcome. Slam dunk. I'll use a basketball
absolutely.
Fun. So for Sam Elgin, I'm Dave O'Hara, and Formula Basketball. We'll be back with more Hawkeye to close out the show with Hawkeye insider David Eickholt in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Automotive Family. We're living through some of the most interesting and challenging times many of us have ever seen. knowing who you can rely on is more important than ever. Many of us turn to our families to get us through, and the same holds true here. From our fair upfront pricing to exceptional service after the sale, we truly want to exceed your expectations. So give us a call or stop by and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Who do you trust to produce the best yield? A seed company that's chasing technology or a seed company that's writing the book on it? Hi, this is Joe Mershman. Mershman Seeds has been treating soybeans for decades, long before it was commonplace. We're the leader in technology, introducing Mershman Seeds' latest advancement in seed treatment, with an added fungicide to help produce a faster, more even emergence every single time. Who can you trust with your yields? Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Our buddy David Eickholt. It's been a while. HawkeyeInsider.com. You see all his information on the bottom of the screen. David, my usual. I'm going to get out of the way and let you hit it. But first, I want to tell folks, if you're ticked off with the RPI and rankings for March Madness, Heller Ball, Iowa Baseball, Rutgers Baseball, the Big Ten in general, they got jobbed this year. But I won't get into it this time. We're going to talk about the Murray twins. We've talked about them with Payton Sandfort. We've talked about what's upcoming for Iowa basketball this year. It's time to get to football. And David, Charlie Jones news hit the campus and the football field like a lightning bolt. Go.
No, it did, Dave. And, I think the reality that people don't understand is the coaches and a lot of his teammates were not expecting this. This sort of came out of nowhere. But, I think for Charlie, it's his 6th year. I really, really think he wants more of an opportunity to showcase being a wide receiver, because that's what's going to get him to the next level. And you look at Iowa's targets last year, Tyler Goodson had more targets than Charlie Jones last year. And when you think of receivers in an Iowa uniform, who are you thinking of? You're thinking of Sam Laporta, you're thinking of Keegan Johnson, you're thinking of Arlen Bruce, Nico Reganey. You don't get to Charlie till 5th. I think Charlie wanted to be the number 1 or number 2 guy. But this is where it gets a little bit interesting, Dave, because immediately when he entered the transfer portal, I had multiple people reach out to me and suggest that Purdue is going to be the front runner to land Charlie Jones. And if that happens, I don't think Jeff Brom and Kirk Ferentz will be having dinner anytime soon after they took Tyrone Tracy. But for as good as Purdue's offensive attack is in the air, I think it's kind of ironic that they took 2 of Iowa's wide receivers, probably Iowa's 4th or 5th option.
Yeah, so they couldn't beat him with Bell. He's done now, finally, after all the damage he did to the Hawkeyes. Now we'll just take 2 former Hawkeyes. But David, let's take us in as fans here. Where do we go from here with return game? We know that Arlen Bruce is coming back, great freshman year. Keegan Johnson, great freshman year. They're not depleted in the wide receiver room, but it'd be great to have that 6th-year senior leadership.
Yeah, no doubt, Dave. I think the thing is with Iowa right now, I think they're very top-heavy. I don't think there's a lot of proven depth behind them. Because if you look at the top 3, you have, like you said, Keegan Johnson, who I think could be a breakout star, and not just for Iowa, but in the Big Ten. Arlen Bruce, more of a versatile Swiss Army knife. Then you got Nico Reganey. And I think Luke Lachey at tight end could really step up. And then remember, they have Steven Stylianos, the Lafayette transfer. So I think there could be some 3 tight end sets there as well. So I think Iowa can do some different things. And, ultimately, Dave, as much as it hurts Iowa not to have Charlie Jones in that wide receiver room, it's going to be the return game where it gets interesting. But I would throw in Cooper DeJean as maybe the front runner to land that returner role. But I also throw in maybe Caden Weegan, the Iowa Western transfer, who's often been compared to Charlie Jones. I thought he performed very well in the spring game. He could step up as another wide receiver in the room. And then I'll also throw in Brody Brecht as far as wide receiver goes. I think he has the highest ceiling. And I think Deontay Vines, who's kind of been under the radar a little bit, but I've always liked his skill set as well.
Speaking of Heller Ball with Brody Brecht with baseball, what a season he had. But I got to tell you, David, when we go into all this and you're talking about on-field, off-field, we haven't even gotten through May. We're recording this on May 31st, so we just got past Memorial Day. And boy, the soup is stirring in the pot right now, isn't it?
It's great to be covering sports with all this ever-changing landscape. There's no offseason anymore with name, image, and likeness, with the transfer portal, with assistant coach news. Probably it's going to be coming in a few weeks. Remember, Iowa basketball is looking for a new assistant. Dave, it's great for me, and it's great for my content. It's great for Iowa fans to be able to stay engaged.
I took him up to the end. I didn't want to get him in trouble. You and I can get in trouble. But rumor has it probably Matt Gatens, maybe a Dean Oliver. I've talked to Jeff Horner, who's a guest on the show regularly. Looks like it's Matt Gatens' job potentially to take Kirk Spera's place. You mentioned Billy Taylor. They moved Coach Estridge up. So congratulations to him. But there's a lot going on with coming back. We talked about the Murray twins. You're about 95% sure. We'll know by the time this show airs. You and I are in lockstep with Bobby Hansen, Jeff Horner. Chris Murray's coming back probably?
I believe so, Dave. But I will say this. It's a lot closer than what people think. I know when he entered the draft process, a lot of people basically said, he's going to be coming back. Look, 6'8" guy, 2-way player.
Who can shoot it.
He can shoot it. those guys are invaluable in the NBA, and they also need to compare, is it better for him to be in the G League and the development system or to be able to go back in college?
Well stated. He's David Eickholt, Hawkeye Insider. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Folks, content machine right here. Hawkeye Insider. You see all his information at the bottom of the screen. David, thanks so much. As always, great stuff out of you.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Truly my pleasure. For David Eickholt, Sam Elgin, and Payton Sandfort, and to you, the viewers, and to Craig and Stacy Schroeder with Fight with Flash, I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. That's all from us. Thanks to all of you. And as always, thanks for staying tuned at the end of the program for these rolling credits to give our advertisers and sponsors the attention and credit they so richly deserve. And as always, to our aforementioned guests and to you, the viewers. That's all from us at Hawkeye. Thanks to all of you.